This is not just infrastructure, this is geopolitical surgery. Poland has spent $450 million to cut a canal straight through the Vistula Spit, permanently severing one of Vladimir Putin's most potent remaining choke points in the Baltic region. Kaliningrad, once a dagger aimed at NATO's underbelly, has just lost a critical piece of its leverage, and Putin, sitting in the Kremlin, knows exactly what this means for Russia's strategic position in Europe. Hit that subscribe button right now because this channel delivers the real story, the deep strategic shifts happening beneath the daily headlines. When most people think about Kaliningrad, they picture a heavily militarized Russian exclave wedged between Poland and Lithuania, bristling with missiles and troops, a constant threat to NATO's eastern flank. And yes, that military presence still exists. But underneath the Iskanders and the submarines lies something even more fundamental: geography as a weapon. For decades, Russia controlled access to key parts of the Baltic coastline and the Vistula Lagoon through narrow Russian-patrolled waters. Ships heading to Poland's important port of Elbląg had no choice but to navigate routes effectively under Moscow's shadow. One political crisis, one hybrid provocation, and that access could be squeezed. Not anymore. The Vistula Spit Canal changes everything. This $450 million engineering project carves a direct sovereign Polish waterway from the Baltic Sea into the Vistula Lagoon, bypassing Russian territorial waters entirely. No more dependence on Kremlin goodwill, no more vulnerability to sudden exercises or blockades. Poland now has independent access to one of its key northern ports, strengthening its economy, its sovereignty, and its role as a frontline NATO state. Let me walk you through why this matters so much right now, because once you see the logic, you cannot unsee it. Russia's entire posture in the Baltic has relied on asymmetric leverage. Kaliningrad isn't just territory, it's a forward base designed to project power, threaten supply lines, and create headaches for NATO logistics. The Suwalki Gap nearby remains a concern, but this canal directly neutralizes a maritime choke point that gave Russia economic and military influence over regional shipping. In a time of heightened tensions with hybrid threats and energy games, Poland has taken a practical, expensive, and irreversible step to reduce that vulnerability. Think about what this means for Russian planners in Kaliningrad tonight. Your exclave was supposed to be an unsinkable aircraft carrier, a constant pressure point on Poland and the Baltics. Now, a key economic and logistical artery flows freely without you. Your ability to disrupt Polish ports and trade with a flick of the switch has been dramatically diminished. The $450 million investment isn't just concrete and water, it's a declaration that Poland will not live under perpetual geographic blackmail. This is the psychological dimension. Geopolitics is not just about armies and missiles, it is about control, about options, about who sets the rules of the map. And nothing erodes Russian confidence faster than watching a NATO member spend serious money to engineer Russia out of the equation. To understand the full impact, you have to look at Russia's broader strategic situation. The war in Ukraine has stretched Moscow thin. Kaliningrad, once a showcase of Russian power in Europe, is increasingly isolated. Sanctions, reduced shipping, and NATO's growing presence have turned it from an asset into something closer to a costly outpost. Dependence on vulnerable supply routes by sea, by land through the Suwalki corridor has become a liability. Poland's canal is another thread pulled from that fraying position. Russia is not powerless. It still maintains significant forces in Kaliningrad. It can still cause trouble through hybrid means, cyber attacks, or posturing. Authoritarian regimes excel at turning isolated territories into fortresses, but Putin needs time. He needs to maintain the illusion of inevitable Russian resurgence while his military grinds in Ukraine and his economy copes with isolation. Projects like this canal chip away at that illusion. They show neighbors actively building resilience instead of accommodating Moscow's demands. Now, let's talk about what Poland has achieved here, because this represents something remarkable about the country and the wider region. In the years following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Poland has transformed from a concerned neighbor into one of Europe's most determined bulwarks against Russian aggression. Massive defense spending, border fortifications, leadership in arming Ukraine, and now this strategic infrastructure project. The Vistula Spit Canal wasn't built in a vacuum. It is the product of careful planning, engineering excellence, and a clear-eyed recognition that geography must be mastered, not feared. This success sends a powerful message to the people of Poland and the Baltics. For communities living near the exclave, near the Suwalki Gap, under the shadow of potential hybrid threats, this is proof that their governments are not passive. They are shaping the future. They are investing in sovereignty. Morale and resilience matter enormously in this new era of great power competition, and Poland is demonstrating both. On the Russian home front and in Kaliningrad itself, the implications ripple outward. Putin has sold his population a story of Russian resurgence, of pushing back NATO, of restored influence. But when a neighboring country spends nearly $500 million to bypass your strategic geography, that story frays. Ordinary Russians, and especially residents of Kaliningrad who rely on the exclave's special status, see tangible evidence that the world is adapting around them, not to them. The gap between Kremlin propaganda and visible reality widens. Internationally, this move aligns perfectly with the broader Western effort to reduce vulnerabilities. At a time when debates about NATO spending, energy independence, and support for Ukraine continue, Poland's proactive $450 million investment shows seriousness. It is a concrete example of allies fortifying the eastern flank without waiting for permission. It undercuts any narrative that Russia still holds decisive leverage in the Baltic. It strengthens supply chains, port capacity, and regional integration, benefits that extend far beyond one canal. The cumulative effects are what matter most. Pair this canal with Rail Baltica upgrades, enhanced Suwalki Gap defenses, booming Polish ports, and deeper NATO integration. Russia's traditional choke points lose potency. Hybrid pressure becomes more expensive and less effective. Poland's strategy, invest in resilience, reduce dependencies, project strength, is paying dividends. This is not flashy battlefield victory. It is quiet, structural erosion of Russian options. I want to acknowledge the full picture. Russia still maintains military capabilities in Kaliningrad. The Suwalki Gap remains a sensitive area requiring vigilance. One canal does not eliminate all risks, but the direction of travel is unmistakable. Poland and its allies are methodically dismantling the geographic advantages Russia once took for granted. The price of Russian adventurism keeps rising. For ordinary Poles, Balts, and Europeans who remember the Soviet era or have watched Russia's war in Ukraine, this is more than a waterway. It is hope through action. It is proof that creativity, investment, and determination can reshape even the map itself. A region is being forged that refuses to be held hostage. As we close this analysis, consider the broader arc. A decade ago, few would have predicted Poland leading the charge on European security infrastructure like this. Russia has revealed the limits of its coercion. The near abroad is no longer compliant. Neighbors are building workarounds, canals, rails, alliances that sideline Moscow's leverage. Poland's $450 million workaround and the neutralization of Putin's Kaliningrad Chokepoint represent real degradation of Russian strategic influence in the Baltic. They signal a maturing, confident NATO eastern flank, and they remind everyone watching that determined nations can rewrite the rules of geography when they choose to. If this analysis helped you understand these deeper shifts, share it with someone who needs the full picture. Hit subscribe for more breakdowns like this every time the strategic map changes. The canal is open, the choke point is broken, and the ripples will be felt from Kaliningrad to the Kremlin for years to come. Stay with us.